Hey guys, Ernie here and welcome to the Paleo Hiker MD channel. Now, few things are as efficient as a wood burning stove, but often they can get pretty heavy. Of course, not carrying fuel on the trail definitely saves weight. You don't have to carry propane, you don't have to carry alcohol or solid fuel, whatever it might be. You can just use sticks or twigs that you find along the way. But if your stove weighs a ton, it's kind of a moot point. Now, there's quite a few options when it comes to ultralight wood burning stoves. Several are made out of titanium. I have several myself, including a titanium nano from Firebox stove. Today we're going to take a look at this. This is from Toaks. It is the collapsible titanium wood stove. Stay tuned, we'll check it out. Thanks for watching. Now, this is not a gasification stove, so it's not going to be as efficient as, say, a Solo stove or a Bush Buddy or some of the other gasification stoves out there. And that's something to keep in mind because it's not as efficient and it burns wood faster. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. Now, it is amazingly compact at 3.75 inches tall and about the same in diameter. That's pretty impressive, so 3 3/4 inches. It also weighs a pretty impressive 5.4 ounces. This whole thing is 5.4 ounces. You can get a full wood stove for that. That's pretty good. That's enough yapping. Let's take a look at how this goes together. So it comes in this little stuff sack, pretty simple. Like I said, pretty lightweight. Okay, just a matter of ounces really. Comes in 3 pieces, all right? This piece, and this piece. These are the 3 pieces. I'm getting soot all over me. You can see the smallest, medium, and large. The way this works is pretty simple. You're gonna take this smallest piece that has the grid at the bottom. That's gonna be where the majority of your fuel will sit. You slide it into this chamber and it sits down low like that. You get this piece and you flip it over. It's pretty simple to know where. Just look at the Toaks. It should be right side up. Once you do that, you slide this in and that is your stove. You can see at the bottom it has some ventilation ports down here and there is a little bit of room, you can see there, between the wall and the bottom chamber. Lots of ventilation holes up here, both up top and here in the bottom, and this is the major feed port. This is where you feed the majority of your wood in. Now we'll measure this top real quick. It was 3.75. That's probably for this down here. Let's see exactly what size pot you can use here. So we're looking more at 3 5/8. So your pot has to be at least 3 5/8 wide to fit on here. As you can see, it's a very simple design, very easy to put together. Let's take it outside and start a fire. Now, before we talk a little bit about this stove, I will tell you guys that I don't recommend starting it on top of wood like I did. Now, I did it today because I'm planning on starting a little bit of a fire after this for something else. So I'm just using it to go ahead and get some coals going on that wood. I would recommend using something solid like dirt or stone if you can, because the bottom does get really hot, and anything you put underneath, right now, basically that wood is turning a little bit into charcoal. So be careful on that. I did it for a reason, but don't do it unless you want to start a fire. So let's start first by talking about the positives of this stove. It's got quite a few positives. Obviously, it's hard to beat from the standpoint of weight, and it's pretty easy to feed fuel into it. That's a big deal when you're using these stoves. Sometimes if it doesn't have enough room for you to put more wood, this one has a side port you can put it in, which is really nice. And the fact that it's easy to feed it with more wood is a great pro. It obviously compacts very tightly. You can see that it fits perfectly and nests inside of that Toaks 750 milliliter pot. It also cools off very quickly since it's titanium. A lot of times you're on the go, you want to make a quick cup of coffee and you don't want to wait. Stainless steel can take a good while to cool off until you can put it into your nylon pouches or anything. You get the wood out of this, set it to the side, it'll cool off in a matter of minutes. I also think the price is pretty reasonable. It's $45. It's a little bit on the steep side, but again, you're looking at an ultralight wood burning stove that compresses down really quickly, good form factor. You can get one that's a little bit larger for $60. This one happens to be $45. I think that's a pretty reasonable price for the product that you're getting. Now let's talk about the negatives of the stove, because it's just as important to talk about those, if not more important. Air circulation seems to be a bit of a problem. Like I said, this is not a gasifier stove, so it doesn't create that circulation the way you would like. The piece that slots into the bottom is fairly tight against the sides, so you don't get a lot of air circulation. It's not bad, but it's not the best. I think it is limited on the size of the pot that you can put, not only from the standpoint of it can't be too small, but if it gets really heavy, I'm not sure. You'll have to have it on very firm footing, because it is a little top heavy. You need to have it on very firm footing if you're gonna have a bigger and larger pot on top of it. The other thing I've noticed, especially compared to say something like my titanium nano, and I think it's because of that air circulation, it really chews up the wood. It does not seem to create as hot of a fire as some of the other stoves that I've used. It's adequate. You just have to keep an eye on it and keep feeding it wood. You have to babysit it a little more than some of the other stoves. The biggest problem I see with it is there's no built-in way to use an alcohol stove with it or solid fuel with it. You're basically lacking options that you get with some of the other stoves in its class, and that's a big issue for me. This is really the biggest con for me in particular with this stove. If I can use my Firebox Titanium Nano, it has the nano sticks. I can use it with a Trangia stove. I've got the ability with a built-in plate to go ahead and use it with solid fuel. It gives me a lot more options. That's probably why I would pick it over this stove. But if you're looking at this stove and you're wondering, is it good quality? Does it work? It definitely does. I'm pleased with the stove. I just have my own preferences. But like I said, I think it's a solid product, and I think it's definitely worth the money if you're interested in picking one up. Like I said, this is all a matter of preference. What kind of lightweight product are you looking for? What kind of characteristics are you looking for? Do you want it to nest inside of something easily? Do you want it to be a little bit bigger? Do you want it to be a little bit smaller? It's all up to you. And thankfully, we have tons of products on the market these days that gives us lots of options. It feels solidly built, it's impressively light, and in the end, it gets the job done, burning wood to boil some water. So any of you guys have experience with this stove, any positives, any negatives you want to add, please put them down below in the bottom comments. Make sure everybody knows what's going on. My water is boiling up here. I'm going to go ahead and make me some coffee. As always, guys, I appreciate you checking us out. If you like the video, do me a favor, hit the thumbs up down below. It really helps spread things across YouTube. If you haven't subscribed, make sure you hit that subscription button. And if you want to be absolutely sure that my videos pop up on your feed, hit that ding dong bell, and you will be the first to know. I'm gonna enjoy the rest of the day, make a little fire here just for myself, drink some coffee, do some journaling, enjoy myself out in the woods this morning before it gets too hot. As always, I appreciate you checking out the Paleo Hiker MD channel. Stay tuned for more videos soon.